Hi everybody, I thought I would get on here and let you know my update, non-update related to my health journey. I just got home from Winchester. It's a little bit of a drive, so the dogs may or may not be completely disruptive while I try to do this, but I haven't been putting many videos up, and I want to, but I don't know, I just don't want to. I'm not getting any one project done, and I just don't want to get up here and just complain, but I know some of you may be wondering, and I want to put this up here so I have this kind of like historical information in the future. So this is May 26th, 2026, and I just came back from my neurologist in Winchester. Super good neurologist and super good doctor and nurse practitioner, I think is her initials. So there's two of them. Super awesome at this office. I can't tell you how excited I am to be working with them, even though we don't have answers. They're not dismissive. They don't they don't try to force things on me that I don't think are connected as far as meds or tests or, those kinds of things. They present information, and then I'm a very active part of choosing which direction we're moving, what referrals will go out. So they've been amazing, even though I still don't have a diagnosis. Whatever I have is so far still a mystery. So almost a year ago, maybe, their office listened to my concerns about my family history and all of these things going on, and I was prepared to go to that appointment and say, I think it's genetic. Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm had given me the name of some condition or disease. I got to tell you guys, most of the words I use are my words. They're not going to be technical words. This is not a doctor medical information in any kind of way. Like I said, this is for my notes and to let you guys know I'm still alive and kicking. But Lisa at Yogi Hollow Farm asked if I had ever looked into a certain thing. Second part of the name was ataxia. Ataxia meaning like medical muscle kind of weakness kind of thing. And it was genetic. And while I very much believe that this thing passes on and has passed on from my grandmother to my mother to my sister to my niece to myself, I didn't think about like genetic testing. I only think about rheumatology and things like that, right? And so I went prepared to this appointment a year ago, give or take, ready to demand that we were going to look at genetic stuff, or they were going to explain to me why we weren't. And even before I got that far, the nurse practitioner said, you look to me like some people I've worked with, A, B, and C. And so we sent those labs for genetics to Mayo Clinic for 5 different things. One got ruled out right away, but I have variants of unknown significance for 3 things and variants of pathnogenic significance on the other thing. Now, the one with pathnogenic significance means your genetic stuff has changed enough, and they know enough to know that if you have this gene change, then you most likely have this condition, disease, syndrome, whatever. And but they said I don't have that because you have to have that with genes from 2 parents, and I only have that gene from 1 parent. So one is called recessive and one is called dominant. I can never keep track of which is which, but I only had the type that came from 1 parent, so they could rule with the information they have now, they can rule that out. And that's one of the leukodystrophy genetic changes I have. One of the other genetic changes I have is for a different leukodystrophy, a different subtype. And that one was a variant of unknown significance. The third thing that I don't have, but I have a variant for Charcoat Marie Tooth syndrome, and that is also a variant of unknown significance in my testing, but they said that I don't have that with the information that they have nowadays. I don't have that because, again, it came from only one parent. The gene abnormality only came from one parent, not from two. Although I think sometime down the road, they're going to tell me, they're going to find that I have, that my variant of unknown significance for Charcoat Marie Tooth, I think they're going to tell me that I do have that condition. Because of my hands and my feet. My feet, I have super high arches, and I have like this deformed bump growing on the top. Not a bunion. I have a bunion also on the one foot. But on the top of my foot is a very painful bump kind of thing, along with my super high arch. And my left foot is starting to get that, I call it deformity. Is that really the right word? I don't know. But my left foot is getting that change also. Also, my hands. So some of my knuckles are changing, becoming misshapen. It's hard to see on the camera. And then the weakness and the, there's times I can't put my hair in a ponytail, or I can't shampoo my hair because my hands are so weak. So while I currently don't fall into a category where they can say I have a diagnosis, I know, honey, you're old and you're tired and you missed me, right? So Charcoat Marie Tooth in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if they say I have it, but at this point, I don't fall into the categories that medical science has been able to determine at this point. So that leaves me with the variant of unknown significance for one in the muscular dystrophy category, and my gene that is the variant, or that is not right for whatever reason, not working right or not shaped right or whatever, is COL12a1. That's a gene that has to do with the collagen that your body produces. Collagen helps hold your joints together, your ligaments, that kind of thing. So one of the diseases in this conditions, syndromes, whatever, in this umbrella of muscular dystrophy, umbrella of collagen problems, is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. A lot of people have been, compared to other things, no, not a lot. These are still considered rare things. And I think it's not because people don't have them. I think it's just the science doesn't know to look for them, My diagnosis right now in my charts from rheumatology is fibro. I have fibro. That's my only diagnosis. But that's because rheumatologists didn't go down this other trail of genetics and things like that. So, I have a problem with COL12a1. That problem, they're starting to believe can be a problem whether it's recessive or dominant. So if you have a gene from one parent, it's maybe called one thing. If you have the gene from both parents, it's called another thing. So one is called Ulrich something, and the other one is called Bethlehem something, or myopathic muscular dystrophy is a third thing. And then, of course, Ehlers-Danlos is pretty closely related, but different genes, but it has to do with collagen. malfunctioning, malformed, whatever, collagen. So, my neurologist, who's wonderful, supportive, not dismissive, not giving me a crazy label of whatever just because that's the only label he knows to put on it. We talked about that medical science does not know things about COL12a1. However, there have been support groups forming, and I have found some of those support groups. So it's considered very rare, and they don't have, medical science doesn't have like a category or a disease name so much for that. But the people in these groups, we all have very similar things, symptoms or whatever. So currently my doctor and I, my neurologist and I, are going to continue to work at trying to address some of the pains, some of the problems, like my headaches have been super bad, joint pain, neuropathy, weakness, muscle ataxia, not quite knowing where my body is or where, I'm putting things. I don't know if I have an official diagnosis of proprioception problems, but my body behaves very much like that, clumsiness. I still fall down quite a bit, those kinds of things. So we're tweaking my medicine a little bit to help some of my problems. Hi, Stinky. Hi, Stinky. I am in all things considered really good spirits. Between my recent faith, just brings this calm and peacefulness over me. And having some information, like having these support groups, while I don't have Ehlers-Danlos in the support group, they talk about things, how their bodies function or don't function, and things that they use to help them, like my pry bar that I got from, oh, I know your name, Donnie Bless, because I have to use things to help open things. I'm getting hints about how people go through their daily lives with those kinds of helping things. And I don't feel crazy because other people have similar, well, I do feel crazy, but that's a different thing. So many doctors were so dismissive and probably thought I was med seeking or, I don't know, disability benefits seeking. I don't know what they thought, but they were so dismissive that I did feel a little like, am I just making all this stuff up in my head? And it's so hard to describe. Willie, hush. But my doctor is pleased with the genetic information we have, and that I have a super good geneticist, super good, very informative, knows what to look at for, didn't brush me off, explained variants of unknown significance for COL12a1 for dummies, explained it to me, let me record audio, that explanation, so I could play it back and listen to it multiple times. So no diagnosis, but I feel very validated, and I feel like at some point the medical science, some people believe science has all the answers. No, science does not. I've always believed that, and this has validated my belief that science does not have all the answers. So it's a lot of rambling. I'm here. I'm kicking. I'm getting to work about 3 or 4/5 of the time. Paychecks are taking a hit, but I have very supportive coworkers. Trying to get to work more often for financial reasons, but their work is very supportive if I don't. and just trying to find my new normal, which is so much wimpier and weaker than when I first moved up here, you know. First moved up here building a chicken coop, pounding in T-posts for fences and trellises, learning to cut my own firewood, upgrading my chainsaw to a larger one so I could cut trees down and, you know, buck up bigger tree trunks. All of that stuff is now, you know, out the window. So just trying to find my new normal. So thanks for your patience with me as I am slow responding to comments and I don't get to your videos as often as I want to. Yeah, I don't know. If you know of any super good resources for kind of the subcategory Ehlers-Danlos, Bethlehem, whatever, I always want to say Bethlehem steel because I lived in Baltimore, it's not that. But Ulrich, whatever, myopathic, muscular dystrophy. If you know of any really super good resources, I'll be happy to take a look at it and see if I can widen my knowledge base or my support base. And yeah, I keep going day by day, looking for the blessings. There is happiness and blessings in every single day when I look for them. So that's a good thing. I will go back to my geneticist in about a year, see how I'm hanging in there. And or I think if science makes a breakthrough with COL12a1, I think I will be contacted. I'm not sure if that comes through Mayo, Baylor, or my geneticist, but I think if they make a breakthrough, they give me a heads up. I will continue seeing my neurologist between geneticist visits to try to kind of dampen some of my symptoms. The pain and the headache and the joint weakness and joint stiffness, see if we can address some of those symptoms. But otherwise, you know, it could be worse. And I'm thankful for having found doctors that don't just act like nothing's wrong or blow me off with some lame, people who legitimately have fibro and suffer from fibro legitimately, I'm sorry, it's not an easy thing to have, and I'm not saying that fibro is nothing, but I think in cases like mine, the rheumatologist wants to blow me off, and that's the easiest thing to pin on me, even though, in my opinion, it was clearly not fibro. So yeah, I'm really blessed to have doctors that are not dismissive and not feeling okay with just pinning on a misdiagnosis just for whatever, insurance benefits or, you know, I don't know, whatever, just to get me out of the office. Yeah, that particular rheumatologist, that was the intake appointment, the first appointment, and she ordered some lab work, specialized lab place in California. Can't remember the name of it. If you're struggling with rheumatology kind of things, lupus, what are the other ones? Rheumatoid arthritis. There's multiple categories, and it looks at those things very in depth and gives very good results. So that test was amazing, the test itself. But I'm at my first appointment. She orders that test. She says, you have fibro and I don't need to see you again. So my blood work came back with some things that could have maybe been explained, but she didn't need to see me again. I just had fibro, go on. So I'm really blessed to not have doctors like that now. Okay. that's a lot of rambling about, how many, 20 minutes, what's that say? Oh, speaking of rambling, I pulled this up because I wanted to read it off of Dr. Google to help explain why some of the things I talked about, to explain it more correctly. So a VUS, variant of uncertain significance, means your genetic test found a change in the COL12a1 gene, but scientists haven't studied enough to know if it causes disease or if it's just a harmless trait. Doctors do not diagnose based on a VUS because doing so could lead to incorrect diagnosis. Several factors explain why you do not have a diagnosis: insufficient evidence. Geneticists require proof that a specific DNA change disrupts the gene's function. Because COL12a1 variants are rare, often linked... Stop, Spotty, stop. Because COL12a1 variants are rare, often linked to myopathic Ehlers-Danlos or muscle myopathies, there isn't enough population data or laboratory research to reclassify your specific variant as pathogenic. A genetic report is just one piece of the puzzle. Most genetic conditions require a patient to have both a confirmed gene mutation and a strict checklist of physical symptoms. If your traits don't fully match the clinical profile, a diagnosis isn't made. So I have headaches, joint pain, joint weakness, times my arms won't lift and work, dizziness, spasms, cramps, neuropathy, fasciculations where you can actually see the vibration under your skin. I have those. All these things I have are not exactly the same. What's the word? There's a word. I want to say genomes. The symptoms checklist, I have a variety, and the next person with COL12a1 might overlap some but have different. And then so till the scientists can find the commonality between all of us to get a pathogenic diagnosis, that's what's happening with me. And guys, Willie, some people would maybe be sad that if they learned that they had a genetic variant that is probably causing the problems. I'm not sad about it because I've known that there's this issue. And my mom died at a really early age, and my sister has struggled with this. It has really caused problems in her health for a very long time, big problems for a very long time. So rather than saying, oh, it's genetic, it's not fixable, which genetic stuff is not fixable, I don't think, ever. Stop. I'm glad, I'm relieved to know that we might be on the trail of the cause and that it can make sense. And that to me is relief more than it is depressing, if that can make sense. Oh no. Anyway, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I apologize if you made it through this whole video. That was a lot of rambling and still no diagnosis at all. One thing that I'm very happy at this point in my life, I'm healthy enough to drive myself to these appointments. I have insurance that's covering a huge chunk of these MRIs and x-rays and appointments and genetics and all this stuff. And if I can add to that scientific base of information for whatever this is, I am happy for that. I am happy if it can help my relatives who also have this, who are not able to get the genetics testing due to pay sources. So yeah, for whatever reason, all those reasons, I am not bummed out that this is most likely genetic. Happy to be here on this hill, and it makes sense to me now why little miracles happen to get me up here on this ridge to live, because it's such a healing, calming, peaceful place for me. So yeah, here I am, trying to learn a new normal. I hope you're doing well. See ya.